Hi friends, thank you so much for choosing my video. My name is Codi and today we are going to be creating a warm and cozy forest diorama for the red deer. First off, I am going to change the background color to a simple cream, and I'm going to put that hex code up on the video for you guys. And then we're just going to get into terraforming. I also changed the hour to 2018 so we can get that lovely golden hour tone. So at the time of this recording, I've actually only been playing Planet Zoo for about a week and a half, although I grew up playing a lot of Zoo Tycoon, like every day after school. I love that game so much. So it feels really great to be back playing another zoo game again. I've also absolutely loved watching all of the incredibly talented Planet Zoo content creators make their realistic and intricate builds, but going into this game, I knew from experience that creating buildings from scratch is not my forte at all. I'm actually a professional children's illustrator, and even in my painted work, I'm more of an organic shapes artist. So basically anything man-made, I struggle immensely with. So I needed to approach the game from a different perspective. I asked myself, how am I going to create environments that play to my strengths as an artist? For me personally, the tendencies in my artistic style is that I use a lot of earth tones and I draw cute animal characters, and my shapes are really simplistic. I also try to invoke a sense of warmth and security in just the environments and also the color palettes that I use. And here's a couple of examples of my work. So with this build, I wanted to teach you guys my workflow and my perspective on how I would go about doing that. As you can see from the terraforming that I've done, I created really tall walls on both sides of the diorama, and that's for kind of giving that sense of an enclosed space, which can really help with the feeling of coziness if that's the kind of feeling you guys are going for. Scale is also really important when it comes to getting across a specific atmosphere. If you're going for cozy, your spacing should be smaller and closer together. But if you're going for grand and majestic, you can add a lot more breathing room between your objects. I actually plan on doing a video about natural ways of spacing trees and foliage, so keep an eye out for that in the future. So now I'm just setting up the null barrier around the diorama just so the animals can't get out, and we have a enclosed space. Hopefully in the future, I think it would be great if Frontier would add the ability to create dioramas without having to have the trade center and stuff like that. If we could just plop in animals, that would be super helpful. But this is what we have for now. As I start to add the trees, I'm actually using a blueprint that I created of a sugar maple 3 with the effect emitter in the leaves, and that is leaves 1. It's attached to the inside of the top of the tree, so it looks like it's blowing from a believable place. A tip, although, about using this is to make sure you don't rotate these trees, because if you do, then your leaves will be blowing in all different directions. So when you place this blueprint specifically, don't rotate the tree, but you can rotate the trees around them so it looks more natural. For my builds, my goal isn't necessarily to create the most realistic environments per se, but I do try to go for a level of believability, even if that believability has a sense of whimsy to it. And then next, I am adding in another blueprint of my own, which is a little wooden fence that I made out of the East Asia timber, and also the little dot screws on each of the vertical boards are actually the trowel, the handle of the trowel from the conservation pack. It's just kind of inside of it, so you can't see the rest of the trowel, and it kind of worked out really well. And as I'm placing the trees, you'll kind of notice in a little bit that I'm not really moving my camera all that much. I'm just kind of setting my camera down and moving the trees within that frame and intentionally framing the shot with the tree branches coming in from the side so we can kind of have a foreground, midground, background. And now, of course, I'm also placing in the boulders. I think that boulders are really important for grounding an environment. I have a tendency to just place some of the bigger ones and maybe just a couple little small ones here and there too. I also am really loving the pebble faux rocks from the aquatic pack. I don't have all of the packs just yet. I only have a handful of them, but I do plan on getting them all eventually. But I'm kind of just working with what I have. Also, if you notice about the trees, as you can see here, while I'm placing them, I started to bring out some of the trees that have green foliage, and I immediately put them back into my inventory because I knew that the way that I wanted my color palette to be, I wanted it to be very warm and inviting. Of course, it's an autumn forest. So I decided against using trees that have any green in them, except I did add that Douglas fir right there, mainly because it's really tall and the foliage is mostly out of frame when it's being framed down low. So I wanted to have the trunk in frame, but not necessarily the foliage. The main reason why I didn't add any trees with green foliage is because I kind of felt like it was a little bit distracting. And that's something with color theory, in that if you have a very kind of monochromatic color palette throughout your entire image or scene, if you add in something that's a different color, that's maybe complementary or contrasting color, especially if it's only one object, the viewer's eye is actually going to draw to that object instantly. It will immediately draw attention. And that can actually be really helpful if it's your purpose. If you are wanting that object to be your focal point in your scene, that is a really great tip for you to do if you are trying to accomplish that. But if you don't want to necessarily have any specific points where the viewer is looking, then maybe try to avoid adding any excess colors to your palette, like this huge green tree that I just put in. See that? See how it just immediately drew your eye? Of course, it was in the foreground, but you get what I'm saying. And next, I am adding in just some downturned branches and logs and things. I'm working with that broken birch trees. I'm actually replacing these faux branches with a larger birch tree. I think it just looks really nice in the scene and looks kind of natural. Just kind of some space fillers, and it adds a little bit more interest to the scene, adding in some stumps, framing up this scene here again with my camera and adding in some more taiga rocks. That's the type of boulder that I've been using. Oh, you know what? I actually just realized I forgot to mention. So this scene is in the tundra European diorama. And that matters specifically if you're making a autumn environment, because the grass terrain paint in this one specifically is a much more kind of brownish red color. Whereas, of course, in a more tropical environment, that grass is going to be a lot brighter green. So I specifically made sure to choose a tundra setting because the grass is a little bit more autumn looking. Next, I am going to be making a two-tiered waterfall. I'm using the smaller waterfall from the aquatic pack, and I am just going to be surrounding that with a bunch of taiga boulders. I don't know about you guys, let me know in the comments, but I am very particular about how rocks are placed. I can't stand it when two rocks are facing the same way. So as you can see, I am individually placing each and every rock, but that is totally just a me thing. And here I am placing the faux rock pebbles, 7 and 9 specifically from the aquatic pack. A great tip when placing these rocks that has been really helpful for me is turning on align to surface. It just really helps. Of course, you have to hold down shift while you have align to surface, otherwise it will pop up back up to the surface while you're pushing it down. So hold down that shift button while you're placing them and then click, and then you can let go of shift and it will be in place. And now the faux branches have made their appearance back onto the scene. I am adding them back into this little area right here because I felt like it was a little bit blank and we needed something more in the foreground. And next, I am adding one of my favorite objects that we have, or at least that I have with the packs that I own, is the fall leaves from the Twilight pack. It's one of the main reasons that I got the Twilight pack. It's what sold me, along with the animals. I love foxes as well, but these leaves are so helpful for me. I have them all over my current zoo called Harvest Hollow, which is a zoo that is based around a book that my husband and I are currently writing, and it is all very woodlandy and autumn-like, and so I am having these leaves all around our zoo currently. Now I'm kind of just adding in the final touches for the foliage and everything. I'm adding in just like last minute trees, kind of filling in gaps. Like here up at the top of the rocks, I felt like the sky was showing a little bit too much. And I kind of, again, wanted to keep with that theme of wanting it to be like more of an enclosed, cozy cul-de-sac in the forest, if you will. Kind of adding in some more boulders on the top to make it a little bit taller, once again, to kind of frame in that scene without as much sky. And here you can see me adding in quite a few Virginia creepers. They are also one of my favorite pieces of foliage in this game as well. I just love the red tone, like the kind of muted but also saturated red tone. It's a really nice deep red that I love using in my work as well. And also here you see me adding in a spotlight. Now I understand that this game isn't like a stager game, but because this specific build is a diorama, I wanted to add in some spotlights just simply because I was getting a couple of little dark spots just simply from the way that the lighting is set to a sunset. So I pulled out those spotlights. I changed the lighting to more of an orange, like desaturated orange tone, and I kind of pulled them away. We can't change the opacity of lighting in this game. However, if you just pull it away from your scene a little bit, you will get that lower opacity. And of course, I'm adding in some pumpkins here too. And right here, I wanted to show another couple of examples of what it would look like if we did end up keeping a green-leafed tree in the scene. Last but not least, we are going to add rapids to our stream. A couple tips for making believable rapids is when placing the foam, try staggering it in different places and making sure they aren't evenly spaced, because in real life they wouldn't really be evenly spaced. Whitewater is typically created by rocks and debris underneath the surface that is pushing the water up. Same goes for rapid splashes. I typically like to put my rapid splashes up against the edge of a rock that's on the side of the current. So thinking of this in terms of how it would be in real life, the water is getting pushed against the rock by the current, which is causing the splash. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all were able to get something out of this video. And if you would like to see more of my work, feel free to check me out on Instagram at CodiBear. Bye, friends!